Elon Musk had an absolute banner year in 2021. The GOAT. Literally one of the best entrepreneurs and founders of our lifetime. There's plenty of people who hate him, but Elon just keeps producing results after results after results. Our boy John here going absolute viral yesterday with this tweet. Elon Musk had a massive year. He became the richest person in the world. He was paying the most taxes ever, about $11 billion to the U.S. government. He hosted Saturday Night Live. He was awarded the Time Person of the Year. Tesla is delivering more cars this year than they ever have. Elon and SpaceX also won a $3 billion NASA contract. They took 8 astronauts to the ISS for NASA. And Starlink, part of SpaceX, launched about 900 new satellites. All of this obviously got Elon awarded the Time Person of the Year with a real cool photo with a little light on his face saying maybe Elon is knowing what's going to happen in the future. Now, of course, there are plenty of people who have complaints about all of the things that Elon's doing. He's doing hard things. He literally is the only American car company to be built and scaled with any level of success in the last 100 years. The guy also literally has launched reusable rockets and is landing them on drone ships in the ocean. But Tesla didn't surpass 1% share of new car sales until 2018. Now, during the first half of 2021, their share of the all-electric segment of the auto market is about 2/3. They literally have revitalized the conversation around electric vehicles in America. Shout out Elon Musk and Tesla. And then SpaceX, founded 20 years ago in 2002, in 2002. Musk wanted to reach 48 launches of the system in 2021, and they ended up setting a new record of 31 launches by December's end. They have successfully landed a rocket for the 100th time. 100 times he has launched a rocket into space and re-landed it successfully. And they flew Falcon 9 for a record 11 times in December to cap off the year. But my favorite part is what they did 2021 in the impressive comparison. 1, they launched 94% of all missions on flight-proven Falcon 9 boosters. They carried 8 astronauts to the ISS for NASA. That's right, Elon Musk built a company to do what NASA can't do. He literally is carrying the astronauts to the ISS, in addition to transporting 28,000 pounds of critical cargo and scientific research to and from the orbiting lab. They completed the world's first all-civilian astronaut mission. The world's first all-civilian astronaut mission. We ain't going to fake space. We ain't going to the edge of space. He literally sent them to space and they orbited the Earth. They also launched humanity's first planetary defense test to redirect an asteroid. Literally, there are people hating on Elon Musk's SpaceX, but they are out here protecting the Earth, trying to redirect asteroids with a planetary defense test. And then, of course, they've got the Starlink satellites that I think is going to bring that high-speed, low-latency internet to everyone around the world. It's pretty damn cool when you see this. And so if you go ahead and we look at Elon Musk's rank on the world's richest list, he started out in 2012 at 634th, and he slowly moved up the list. But in 2019, he was only at the 32nd richest person in the world. Now he stands atop the mountain at number 1. John, you're the one who said it. Is he the GOAT?
Right now, yes.
Right now, he's the single best entrepreneur in the entire world.
Yes.
I agree with you. Where does he rank in terms of history? It's a hard question. How do you think Elon Musk ranks in terms of history?
He's on Mount Rushmore.
So top 5 or 6?
Yeah, well, top 4.
Is it only 4?
Yeah.
Well,
right.
Mount Rushmore's presidents, though.
Yeah.
What do you think, Joe?
I think he's up there for sure based on a lot of things. My whole thing with Elon Musk is you could not like some of the things he does, right? Especially within the Bitcoin community. I think there's some apprehension because he may not understand some of the things. He may not have taken the time to learn some of the things that people may think are necessary. And he may be a proponent or pushing other, quite frankly, shitcoins further, right? And kind of giving some of this FUD noise or some value. But ultimately, when it comes to Elon, I never understood people that bet against him, right? Because he's trying to do or talk bad about him and all these things. Because ultimately, he's trying to do really, really, really hard things that if they work out will be extremely helpful to us as a society, as a planet, right? And every individual that lives here. He's trying to create the ability for us to live on multiple planets. He's trying to change the automobile industry, trying to change the energy industry, trying to change a bunch of different industries, right? He has a million different things going on. But ultimately, my whole thing was just, why would you ever bet against that? And I think to consider him the greatest entrepreneur of all time, a lot of these things, we have to see how they play out, right? Like, is he successful with SpaceX on a mass scale? He's obviously been successful to this point. He's doing a lot of cool things, but like, how does that change our life? With Tesla, same thing, right? Like, how does this play out 10, 15, 20 years down the line? So I think there's still some things that need to be answered there, but the things that he's attacking it's very ambitious, right? I think he is going after things that other people wouldn't. He's been successful so far, but to consider him the best entrepreneur of all time, like, I think we need to see these things play out a little further.
John, when you think about it, is there anything that you think people miss in their analysis or critiques of Elon where you're like, man, I just wish that people understood this piece of it that is why they maybe have misplaced critiques?
Yeah, I think people kind of just think Elon did it alone, right? He's built all these companies by himself without any help from anyone else or any predecessors or people that came before him in the technology space and other spaces. I think he's had a lot of help along the way. I don't think he's necessarily a self-made man in that situation, but look, I think he works hard. I think he's a marketing genius, and I think he's a really, really good engineer and leader in those companies. I personally don't think he really likes to be the CEO. What, he changed his title earlier this year officially with the SEC to something else but the CEO. So I think that he has a lot of big plans, and I think he's executing them very well, but I think he's getting a lot of help along the way.
I agree with that. I also think that the story's unfinished. Like, that's the crazy part about this is we can evaluate, like, I don't know, if you take some of the best entrepreneurs in history, I'll label one of these as an entrepreneur only because I don't know what else to label them as. But like Genghis Khan. Like, we obviously know what the beginning, middle, and end of that story was, right? And so you have it kind of like, okay, here's the box. This is what was produced. There's a lot of good stuff. There's also a lot of bad stuff in there, right? So not exactly the clearest picture of like, how do you evaluate somebody like that? You also have people like, let's say during the Industrial Revolution. So if you take somebody like a John D. Rockefeller or Andrew Carnegie, right? People that would be assigned, hey, they were great in terms of building it. They became some of the richest people in the world, all this stuff at the time. Again, we have the full kind of story there. We know here's how they started their life. Here's what they did. Here's how it ended. Here's how much wealth they were able to accumulate. Here's what they did with their wealth once they were done, right? All that type of stuff. And so it's a clear kind of evaluation of at least like, hey, here's what happened. And then again, convoluted story, some good things, some bad things. And so I think that's part of what makes the analysis so hard with Elon is that we're still in the start. I don't know. Wait, what's he like? I think he's in his early 50s.
That's my point. Like, I think it's going to take
He's got 20 years left.
Yeah. But we have to see how some of these play out to consider him the greatest of all time. I think he's certainly like on that path, right, and kind of up there with that group. But ultimately, like, we have to see how some of these things play out.
Is he greatest right now, in your opinion?
Most influential, for sure.
Yeah. I just don't know who else you put up there.
Yeah.
That's built multiple businesses this big, and also I also assign that can get teams to do things that were previously thought impossible. Like the idea of a reusable rocket 20 years ago, everyone's just like, oh yeah, it's expensive to launch rockets because we only get to use them once.
Yeah.
Like we forget
It
how like,
ends up-
fundamental of a shift
It
that
ends
was.
up, I think, also in like how much of an impact, like, one is just people love the idea of space and rockets and stuff like that, right? Like, it's like kids' dreams to go on rockets and do these things. So him doing that obviously gives him advantage when it comes to those things. But ultimately, I think it's also like how much do his products and services end up impacting consumers on a large scale, right? So like Tesla is a very tangible asset. You can look at it, you can drive it, you can touch it, and you can say, this is an awesome car. It's really cool. I like it. I like the idea behind it. It's electric, all these things. It helps the environment. Gotcha. Amazing. SpaceX, like, it could be similar, right? We'll see kind of how that plays out. But ultimately, I think that's a big part of it because, like, if you think about entrepreneurs, like, what do you think about Steve Jobs and Wozniak? Like, what they did for personal computing is obviously super important, and that's had a massive impact on a ton of people. So I think when you think about it in that scale, like, those people would have to be mentioned up there with them.
Of course.